Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Alberta News and Views. Pierre Poilievre absolutely destroyed Justin Trudeau during question period today. I'm going to show you a clip from that. But first, this right here. Good on True North for grabbing this because it's gone now. And it was weird. This is actually from yesterday. This was at the tail end of the Jagmeet Singh press conference. You've got to check this out. The Liberals, you will see it in Justin Trudeau too, like with Pierre Poilievre that I'm going to show you. The Liberals are creating a reality that does not exist using fear and smear and straight up hysteria. I think that CPAC got rid of this, wiped this off of their website and off YouTube because it is that bad. Like anybody at home is going to watch this and say, these people are fucking crazy. Like there is no way else to say it. They are insane. Check this out. True North. Liberal MPs held a press conference suggesting Pierre Poilievre is infringing on women's bodily autonomy. It's so bad. Trudeau Media Corp is even calling them out on it. Check this out.
I'm here representing the Women's Caucus.
I'm just going to turn it up for you.
I'm here representing the Women's Caucus and members of the Liberal Party, and we've sent a letter to the Leader of the Opposition asking him to be very clear with Canadians, and in particular with Canadian women, on what he would do to defend a woman's right to choose. We've seen that his caucus, there are many anti-choice caucus members. We've seen some of their actions recently, including MP Kathy Wagenthal, who at the pro-life rally held here last week said that women who have abortions end up needing redemption, forgiveness, and needing God. We as women want to know whether the Leader of the Opposition will ensure that his caucus does not put forward legislation that in any way impinges on women's rights and freedoms, in particular bodily autonomy.
His office has already said that...
What part is not clear? His office has said that they're not going to use the notwithstanding clause on abortion to regulate abortion. He said he's not going to legislate it, introduce it, pass it. So what part's not clear?
That's his government. There are ways that you can have private members' bill that are introduced as well, and the risk is still there. You know, he voted against Morgentaler back in 2008 as person. I mean, he is, in every sense, that caucus and that leader has made women wonder about the risk that they're going to be taking with this leader. And I want him to come out and unequivocally say that they do everything to defend a woman's right to choose, that they will not allow their members to come forward with private members' bills and put forward bills that suggest that a fetus is a person, which is a backdoor way of, again, addressing this issue.
Is it, the Harper government had 10 years. I know you weren't here. Many of us were. 10 years in power. They had 4 years as a majority, didn't move one bit. And they had private members who wanted to do things. Guys, you are all 30 points down the polls. I'm looking at some of you will not get reelected if there was an election this fall. This is the most cynical play to just throw the abortion scare tactic. Would you like to respond to that observation?
Absolutely. It's
Please.
not a scare tactic. We've seen what's happened in the States. Do people really think Roe versus Wade would have been overturned? Do we think what was happening there was going to happen? I've been in the women's movement for over 50 years. It is not a scare tactic. Things are going backwards, not only in Canada, but around the world. And these are real risks for Canadians. We need to know very clearly that that party, policies put forth at the convention, individual members are not going to introduce things because we do not want to go the same way as the United States. So it is not a scare tactic. It is a very strong concern. And I may not have been here then, but I was other places working on women's rights, okay? So do not use that as a reason why it's not a scare tactic.
Last question.
Let's just put it back the other way. The government hasn't also legislated to protect abortions either, right? So why doesn't your government introduce legislation to make it harder for that to get rolled back if there is a conservative government?
You do not want to legislate woman's body. You do not legislate woman's body. That is not, you make sure that you have access to abortion. You don't want to legislate anybody's body, particularly a woman's.
Even if that is to protect the right to choose, like you're calling?
No, you don't want to legislate your ovaries, your uterus. No, That is not the way that you protect women's rights.
They don't know what they want. Pierre Poilievre has already addressed this. This is a scare tactic. That is all it is. And it's really funny because they accuse Pierre Poilievre of importing American-style politics. They are literally comparing Canada and the United States in terms of this, when you can't. They're two completely different countries, and states have way more control over what goes on there than the provinces do. Those people are crazy. The far left is a mind virus. It's nuts. Continuing on, check this out.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, normally the NDP leader is well worth ignoring, but I just can't help myself. He says that the Prime Minister acts like he has no power to stop all of these greedy CEOs from ripping off consumers. Who else has the power? Well, the guy that joined the government 2 years ago. He's been in power during the worst food price inflation in over 4 decades. Will the Prime Minister agree with me that his carbon tax coalition is nothing more than an anti-competitive price-fixing scheme that is costing Canadians at the grocery store?
It's a wealth transfer. That's all it is.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Once again, Mr. Speaker, we see that the Conservative Party's opposition to the price on pollution is ideological and not concrete, because their opposition to the price on pollution means they don't care about fighting against climate change. Even as wildfires are already raging in different parts of the country, they have no plan to fight against climate change. And they do it in the name of affordability while ignoring that the Parliamentary Budget Officer actually showed that 8 out of 10 Canadian families do better with the money put in their pockets from the Canada carbon rebate than it costs them with the price on pollution.
Canada is burning!
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
He didn't answer my question. Now he says that his taxes are going to make Canada a high-tech wonderland. Before, his claim was that it was going to stop forest fires. It's him that made the link, not me. Obviously, I think the link between the two is absolutely ridiculous, because his tax is not an environmental plan. It's a money-collecting plan. It's a plan of government greed. So I'll ask the question again. He wants to hike the tax to 61 cents a litre. If it gets to that high and people are all starving in the streets, will that stop the forest fires?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, in the Leader of the Opposition's desire to make clever rhetorical points, he actually completely ignores the basic facts. The price on pollution is revenue neutral for the federal government. That means the money that comes in for the price on pollution, for the carbon tax, gets returned to the jurisdictions, and is why the Parliamentary Budget Officer found 8 out of 10 Canadian families in jurisdictions where the carbon price applies do better with the Canada carbon rebate that comes in 4 times a year than the price on pollution costs them. That's a plan to fight climate change and put money in people's pockets.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry to be too clever for the Prime Minister, but he's the one who made the argument that high taxes would stop forest fires, and now he can't tell us how high the tax would go to put all the fires out. He went on now to say that his tax is revenue neutral. Well, you don't have to be too clever to read the government's own published documents, which shows that he has collected $2 billion more in taxes than he's given back in rebates. That's why 100% of middle-class Canadians pay more than they get back. So once again, will he tell those middle-class people how high the tax would have to go for the fires to stop?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what we just saw is climate denialism at its finest. The fact is, as global emissions rise, as carbon intensity in the atmosphere increases, extreme weather events like wildfires, droughts, and floods will simply become more and more frequent. Now, his plan is to do nothing, Mr. Speaker, and let future generations fend for themselves. Our plan is not only to reduce our emissions, but to create the solutions that the world needs while we lead on fighting climate change, bringing down emissions, and growing the economy.
Justin Trudeau is going to absolutely decimate the Liberal Party, the Liberal brand, I should say. And Jagmeet Singh, he's already destroyed the NDP brand. I'll keep you updated with as much of this nonsense as I can when I can. Like, share, and take care.